This is Lewis Hart for Boxing Social in association with Empire Fight Store. Delighted to be joined with Eddie Hearn here at Lion Boxing Academy on a nice Thursday evening. Yeah, how's things, mate? A good night tonight.
It's amazing. I mean, a little bit of a downtime sort of this week and next week, really, before everything goes completely mental again. And Lion Amateur Boxing Club, which I first heard about through my late godfather Freddie King, who boxed down here as an amateur, always used to talk about it. And then Francis Ampofo, who's probably one of my heroes of boxing, was an amateur down here before he signed with Matchroom, and they got in touch and they've been struggling, financially, but also through numbers. I mean, they had 3 carded fighters, which is like unbelievable. And Giorgio Vizioli's coach Steve come down, and now they've got over 30. You saw how many people were in here tonight, and it's amazing. Obviously, we helped them out financially as well, but just want to help sort of bring a little bit of profile and recognition to the club. And I think when you walk around these kind of areas, as we saw with the Lynn that we helped reopen as well, they're so important. I mean, you see the state of what's happening at the moment. You go in there and you just see the kids. It's such a great feeling. I mean, I think it's as enjoyable for me to have these kind of nights than it is to have Riyadh season in LA or AJ. Honestly, that's how I feel. And it's like when you walk through here, kind of like the feeling of all the troubles just go away. Like of the boxing game, what's happening in the country at the moment. Everyone's just in it, working hard, feeling good, with a smile on their face, all with the same mentality. And you see, what people don't realise about amateur boxing clubs is when you walk through that door, it doesn't matter who you are, what you've got, where you come from, where you were born, what your mum does, what your dad does, what estate you live on. You are all the same. And for me, when I experienced an amateur boxing club as a kid, the attraction to me was, I was a silver spoon boy, as my old man always called me. But in that club, I was just fucking normal. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't Barry Anderson. I was like one of them. I was like the kid over there, like he's off the estate. And it's the same for my daughter. She goes to Brentwood Amateur Boxing Club, and when she goes through there, she's with all people from all different walks of life. And that kind of grounding that you get and that sort of experience of life in a boxing club is so different. And a lot of kids that come from around here, some of them don't have an infrastructure at home or a support system through their parents. Some of them need guidance, and the guidance comes from the coaches and the people in this gym. And people do not realise, as much as we're pushing amateur boxing club, we also need to push the support for the volunteers, because of all localised community sporting events or sporting clubs, the volunteers are the lifeline and the lifeblood. You imagine now, Louis, saying to a kid, right, I need you to, every night, I need you to go to the boxing club and help out for 4 hours a night. They go, oh, what do I get for that? Do you know what I mean? How much, what do I get? No, I understand. I have an obligation, and we have an obligation to help clubs like this. You have an obligation. Boxing Social has an obligation. Whatever way we can, financial, bit of coverage, bit of exposure, bit of help, pushing that. And any parent that's watching this, I encourage them to take them to their amateur boxing club. And a lot of people that don't really understand boxing go, oh, I wouldn't take my son to a boxing club. You couldn't be more wrong. The best thing you'll ever do as a parent.
With all you say there, you see what Matchroom do in the community, it's important to, do you feel like it's important to have strategy over that? Obviously you've got Alex who does a lot for the community, and so it's important to have not only sort of just saying it, but actually have strategy behind it as well.
Giving money is great, right, and we have an obligation to do that, but actually having some kind of strategy and long-term vision for clubs in the community is so important. These clubs, they're like charities, and we do a lot of work with the Matchroom Charitable Foundation, not just with boxing clubs, but all kinds of different hospices and other charities around, and all the amount of money that needs to be raised to keep these. We talk about hospices and stuff like that. Another system that has very little government support, right? Sometimes, if any. It's like one thing after another. So yes, we contributed financially to the Lynn. Do you know what? In 6 months' time, they'll need some more. It's never ending, and you have to put boxing shows on, you have to put community events on, you have to put raffles on. and it's like the cost of running these clubs, the cost of taking these kids to away shows, to gym bouts, to carded events in minibuses. Like it's a lot. And if we can help, we always will. But having Alex is more about having a strategy for what we're doing. Schemes, community, events, and long-term support for clubs. Not just, there's a few quid, good luck. There's a few quid, but how do we use it? We bring in our commercial partners, Everlast, get the equipment in there, brand. We need to make these clubs almost like fashionable for kids to come in. And hopefully by us coming down here tonight, not just the kids in here enjoyed it, but if there's a bit of coverage, maybe there's other kids in the area go, oh, that's cool, I'll go down there. Because right now we need these places more than ever.
Definitely, for sure. And it's good words said there. I did want to slightly move on and talk about other topics in boxing. As you say, boxing's been quite quiet the past couple of weeks, but I think one of the big stories that come out was obviously, I guess, sort of, you can call it a beef, but sort of a disagreement, I guess, with Canelo Alvarez and His Excellency Turki Alalshikh. This also come with an interview that he done, that Turki done with Fight Hub, where he was asked a question about Tszyu, and he said that it will never work with Tszyu because he doesn't understand, and sort of obviously implying that there was a little bit of a rift between them. I think with the public there was a concern when it comes to sort of working with Saudi Arabia and working with Turkey, that if you're not almost on their ship or agree with what they say, that you'll get left behind. Is there right for a concern with that with people?
No, I think that's wrong. I think that I think just because you have a meeting with His Excellency, you don't have to do a deal. But you also have to understand that His Excellency wants to make the biggest fights. Cheers, guys. Thanks, Bill. Cheers, mate. Thanks for everything, mate. Good luck. See you soon. That all he's interested in is making the biggest and best fights out there. So when he's talking about Tszyu, he's not talking about. He doesn't want to sign Tszyu. He doesn't want to he wants to make Tszyu in a massive fight for a load of money for Tszyu. And it's very frustrating when you have that mindset that you can't, that the teams don't want to have those conversations. Like, why would you not have that conversation? So I don't know about the Tszyu situation, but clearly they haven't had the conversation. And I don't mean this disrespectfully, but you're an idiot if you don't have the conversation. A complete idiot. Like, how can you not sit down with this guy on behalf of your fighter and look at the opportunities that are on the table? I mean, I'm talking about life-changing. I'm talking about life-changing, career-changing, legacy-changing. So the fact that, I don't know what's happened there, but, you have to get in front of this guy. This is the most powerful man in boxing, by none. And it chokes me up saying that. You know what I mean? But this is the fact. Why do you think, and people say to Mickey at me a little bit, I've done an interview the other day, it's all His Excellencies. Yeah, fucking right. One, I like the guy. I think he's hilarious. Honestly, great, unbelievable company. Two, he's so dynamic in the sport of boxing in terms of making things happen. For me, it's so refreshing. And 4 and 5, opportunity for my fighters. Look at the amount of fighters that experience career high pay days and opportunities through Riyadh season. It's changed so many, financially, the lives of so many fighters, and I want in. I'm there. Last night he phoned me up at 3:48 a.m. I picked the fucking phone up. Don't worry about that. And by the way, if you want me up all night, I'm up all night. And that's what happens most nights. Most nights over the last 2 or 3 weeks, I've been on the phone to these people through virtually 3 or 4 hours of every night. 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm not letting this opportunity slip for my fighters. I'm going out and seeing what opportunities are there. And if you don't, or your team don't, you're with the wrong team. So when it comes to Canelo Alvarez, that's more of a, Canelo's Canelo. He's going to do his own thing. And at that particular time, he didn't want to talk about another fight, or maybe he doesn't want the Crawford fight, or whatever. And I think His Excellency was just frustrated because he wants that meeting to say, look, come, let's talk about it. But, you know how hard it is to make a massive fight? Do you know how long it takes? Right? You go into these meetings, it's done. You walk out, it's done. It's never happened before. Yeah. And I love it. So I think he's just frustrated because I think His Excellency thinks, why can't we make Canelo Crawford? Why can't we make Canelo Benavidez? So that's the mentality.
Absolutely. Just a final comment from myself. Sticking on the topic of, I guess, Saudi Arabian fights, Fury Usyk 2 is coming up on December 21st. Sort of not really relevant to the conversation I was going to ask you, but Carl Froch done a video on his YouTube channel, and he was asked the question: if Tyson Fury loses, could we see a potential retirement for Fury? Froch seemed to be pretty convinced that he thinks Fury will pack it in after he loses to Usyk. Almost like two questions for yourself. Does that worry you about that thought of Fury retiring if he does lose? Because obviously the AJ fight, or did you think he could?
Firstly, you never know till something happens, right? So anybody's capable of doing anything, making any decision. I spoke to Spencer Brown today about various stuff, and I think there was a video that went out, I think it's 2 years old, where Fury said maybe he'll pack it in or whatever. The feedback I'm getting from Spencer is that Fury's on it and he's up for it and he wants to fight AJ. I believe that fight will happen, win, lose, draw. But if we can both get the wins coming up, my God, you've got the biggest fight in the entire history of the sport. But for me, you saw the kids outside tonight asking about AJ Fury. Everybody will always
giving you a bit of stick about it.
But everyone will always want it. So, but look, for the first time in a long time, I'm not even looking forward. I'm looking September 21st, AJ against Dubois.
Final one from myself, and one fight I actually did want to ask you about that got announced last week, and the fire's been stoked a little bit between them. Mikaela, Sandy Ryan. Really exciting fight, one I really like.
Really good fight. Someone was asking me about women's boxing recently, and there's definitely just a little bit of consolidation for female boxing where there's so much talent now. Like back in the day, it was like, it's never been a gimmick or to put a female fight on, but it was when there was a good female fighter. They were commercially very valuable. Now there's loads, so I just feel like women's boxing's just leveling out a little bit unless you make the big fights. And when you make a great fight, it really helps. And I think the help really comes from fights like Mikaela against Sandy Ryan. Sandy Ryan was due to have a voluntary defence in Sheffield. With all due respect, what's the point? We want big fights for Sandy Ryan. I think she's the best welterweight in the world, and I believe she beats Mikaela Ryan when she does it at Madison Square Garden on ESPN. That is massive for her, and she can go on and be in big fights beyond that. But it's a very tough fight, two great fighters, great night.
Absolutely. Eddie, as always, a pleasure to speak to you, mate. Appreciate the time. Thank you. Cheers.